All right, game versus Triple Crown, opening face-off. Now, not a lot happens. There's a lot of like back and forth, little scrambles in these like first few minutes. A lot of neutral zone battles, but I wanted to actually dial in on Jamie, which is our red tape center, our very beginner center, and let's kind of dial in on what can she do better, as when you have these kind of neutral zone battles, it becomes very it can be a little overwhelming on where to go and what to do. Oh, all right. A couple notes, well, a couple thoughts. This opening one is, you know what, let's actually just go back even further. So there's a battle here, and comes like that. So boom, right there, there's a reset back towards Dave. So what we want to do is, your first thought is, you can just use Dave as that anchor where you want to skate towards him, and then use that kind of blue line as the guidance of where you kind of want to get to. So rather than skating across, you can try skating like this, and then as you get closer and closer, then you find gaps. Where can you get that open pass? Here's a gap right here, and then here's a gap right here. So you can start down like that. You can stare at him down on this gap. That's option number one, so kind of this area. And option number two is you start down that way and get towards that blue line. You're going to get to that gap, other gap there. So that's option number two. That's the first thing. Now as the pass comes up, when you go like this, it's going to be a really natural path for you to take. So you look at Dave, where does he pass? He passes to Ray, then you turn up like this, just continuing a nice little arc. And if it goes to Alex, then you just turn a nice little arc towards Alex. Is all going to be quite natural. So then Ray loses it. That's not a problem. Gets reset. So same scenario. You're just going to start skating towards Rayhan. Use that blue line as your guidance post. And what that does too, it sets you up where if you have like a situation like this, you see how it gets up to Ray, then you can decide, like, rather than skating towards him, right, that might be putting you in a collision course. What you can do is just do a nice little sweep along, around like this. Now if you can pivot, you can, that's probably off the table, but do a nice little sweep up, and then you're going to time yourself and start skating up. So you see how you stop up into a turnaround? That's a little awkward, isn't it, right? So what I would propose you do is you go down, touch down that little blue line, and then skating up this way. This makes it more natural. You're always going to be forward skating. You don't need to stop. More energy efficient, and then you won't have any like this discombobulated spinning around. You're like in one spot, just continuously turning in one spot, right? Until finally you get the puck down ice, then you go. Now another thing, you can see something you want to scan. You're the third forward in. You can see Alex here and Ray here. Now rather than going all the way to the front of the net like you did right here, you can always kind of opt to slow down and occupy where Alex is, or kind of just trickle in onto where the side of the puck is, and then you'll probably be able to get the puck and then go in on the attack. Let's continue. But where you are right now is not, it's just fine. It's not a big deal. All right, let's continue. Let's make a one mega long clip. So fortunately Ernest falls down. So again, what you're going to want to look for are the gaps. So right here is probably a nice little gap, and the other one is probably all closed off. So how you would want to kind of guide yourself is you're skating towards Dave, But then eventually, once you get kind of in this region, we can kind of dot this off, then we know this is the gap, and you can turn towards it and try to get into this shaded and boxed area. And that will be your kind of guiding post there. It's always going to be moving and dynamic. So that's how you can read that. You know what, let's just keep going until your shift ends. So let's skip ahead. See a lot of neutral zone battles right here. Alex is everyone, pucks loose everywhere is going. So not a lot is happening in the game, but hopefully these tips are going to help you kind of decide how to move around the ice a little bit better without being awkward. You see how there's another one where you stopped up. It's awkward. So hopefully these will just help you kind of figure out a more natural path to skate around. All right, this one right here, we got a puck back. I don't know if I like that pass by Kathy. It's very like break it down some more. So she's gathering it up and it puts it kind of like slingshots it across. I guess it lands on the tape, but it's a bit fast. I don't know. I feel like you could have definitely settled it down more. There's zero pressure, and if you could lay it on the tape way slower for Jamie, it would have been so much better. So maybe just stuck on the mode of your intermediate mode rather than, you know, beginner red tape mode. So not a big fan of that pass. Alright, so this play right here is actually a really bad habit that Rayhan is building. So and I've noticed a few times now, he passes it off, which is kind of fine. He's deferring it off to the D partner. I would have liked him to settle it more. He's doing a lot of these like passes off on D, so you know it comes with the position as well. It's first few times for him, so a little awkward. But the bad habit is he passes it off and he has his body language, stick on the ice, looking at the D partner, gonna go up ice. This is a perfect setup for a pass back to start skating up, but he just doesn't look. You see how his head is turning up the ice. Where is he looking at? He's not looking at the puck. The puck's right here. So what he could have done is always be ready. He passes it off. He's got his stick on the ice. He should be just skating straight towards myself. So once that puck comes back, we're expecting the puck to land right here, and then he can get it and go. Same thing in the situation for most positions. But he decides to look completely away from the puck, and so that was a little awkward. So Ernest does what Rayhan should have done. Let's do that. So let's focus on Ernest now. This is essentially what he should have done. There's the puck, and then boom. And then let's ignore the pass completely off the tape and off the mark. But yeah, it's kind of a bad habit. So make sure you're always going to be ready for a pass back. Don't look away is the key takeaway there. Alright, so we're going to have a banana peel coming up. Whee! But that's not the important part. The important part is Rayhan, this is about his second game playing D. And there are always a lot of concerns from some red tape saying they don't want to play D because they can't skate backwards. Here's an easy demonstration where you don't need to. Of course, it certainly helps. As long as like you're coming in, and again, you're imagining the opponent is a wave, they're coming down, you're going to be riding the wave with them and keeping them to the outside. You're generally going to be doing exactly what you need to do. So stays in between the net, puts a little bit of pressure, and simple enough. That's all we really need to do at this level. And of course, as you learn to backward skate, that is something that can certainly help. but it's not a big concern. Now, there's some more fun stuff going to be happening after this. So Kathy's skating up the ice. There's another lesson to be learned, as don't skate towards the middle. Now, we get a penalty, but that's 100% Kathy's fault. So let's rewind. So she's doing her somewhat of a linear crossover, crisscrossing back and forth. I don't know if you really need to. Let me explain why. Is the distance. She has a big amount of gap distance between her and the defender, so that's Steve. And usually it's going to be more impactful to do linear crossovers, doing the snake pattern when they're closer. Otherwise, you might be able to just power through in the normal, just like regular skating pattern until they get closer. Then you can start doing a bob and weave, but it's a good time to practice regardless. Now, we have talked about this in the past. Just be mindful of how you cut to the middle, because if there's going to be a body there, it's a death sentence for you, especially Kathy. She is female and going to be a smaller stature in co-ed. So this guy is a big body. He's a red tape. It's not his fault that she decided to cut to the middle. Somehow we draw a penalty. We'll take the power play, but I would argue that's actually her fault, but no, we'll take it. Alright, let's review the power play. Let's see what's happening. They're wasting some time to triple crown. They eaten 30 seconds on a power play, but you know, whatever. That's all good. Face-off loss. Cleared out. Perfectly fine. So let's skip ahead. We have gathered the puck. Fee has the puck. Everyone is gathering up. Let's see what happens. So she is skating up. And then, oh my, why would you drop pass like that? Oh my goodness. Right? Oh, you do the hard work to take it in. Make sure we are getting clean passes on the power play. Alright. Round 2. Dave comes up, passes it to Ray. Oh my god, how many times have we talked about this? Don't pass it when they're on the blue line. Talking about mistakes. Oh my goodness. And you're forcing an offside. Alright, Kathy goes for a change. Oh my goodness, this is a disastrous power play. Oh my gosh, can't even get passes to a tape. Okay. Alright. And a goal. Oh no, 5-hole Dave strikes again. Jeff has a gaping hole in his 5-hole. Alright, I mean, that was a pretty ugly power play, but we'll take it. Some good to take out of it. Let's rewind it. So Ray misses the pass. He gets the secondary assist. Alex is a brave man, driving through absolute mayhem traffic down the middle, and he gets away with it. Passes. See, I like the pass. I would have liked it a little bit better if able to kind of like settle it down. So settle it down, get it more to the outside, because you know, if this red tape was a faster skater or stronger in the skate, like that's a pretty easy like interception. But nonetheless, Dave does a good job, skates it to the middle, and then gets it closer too. So this is a pretty good area to shoot from. Jamie's doing a nice job setting up a screen, and so bing, get a goal. So we get a goal. That's a good thing taken out of it. The power play leaves a little bit to be wanted, but you know, it is what it is. We can't have everything perfect. All right, so we have a juicy play coming up. So a couple of mistakes just on this breakout. I probably shouldn't I probably should have just kept going straight down the middle. But at the same time, there's a lot of room for Kathy to operate with rather than doing a dangerous pass up straight up the middle. So probably could have worked with it. We get a little bit lucky with the bounce. That's fine. Now, Kathy's doing a good job drawing all these defenders in with them. The thinking was to maybe sauce it over, but this player, I think that's Eng, reads it and stops it. But obviously, I think that's a mistake. We had Jess doing actually a really good job trailing. So she's staying high rather than, pay attention where common times we have actually two forwards driving the net. So we already have Kathy doing that and Jess is slowing down. So we have a really nice triangle. I think the better play would have been getting to get it to her. There's also Ernest coming in behind. So a lot of options that we didn't need to force through traffic, right? This is way better than this play right here. So that didn't quite work out. That's fine. Another thing I'd like to highlight. Boom, Jess and Ernest hopping up to those triangle positions. So good. And Kathy does a nice feed out to Ernest. He couldn't, it didn't look like he got a really good, decent rebound chance. And look at that, because Jess is down where she needs to be. Big opportunity right there. Couldn't quite get it, but I like the chances. So I like all the positioning here by everyone. Very good. Big saves by Jeff. And so we have a couple chances right there. That was pretty good. I guess one thing I don't like, same kind of similar mistake that I had earlier, forcing this puck through traffic rather than looking for the clean pass down to Kathy. So same mistake where I didn't look for Jess, didn't look for Ernest, trying to force that pass through. So it's a more difficult pass, and so it's like a turnover. So just a game of trying to avoid doing mistakes and trying to keep things simple. Alright, so some defensive notes right here for Rayhan. One of the things you can see, skating forward, that's perfectly fine. Now one of the things you can consider is a little bit of an awkward step. Instead of skating all the way back, you're going to try to do a little bit of a gap up first, just to get yourself a little bit closer to them. And then you're going to start forward skating back the other way. And the closer you can to them, it's going to be better, but it's definitely going to be hard. And, Ernest does the same mistake. So he's riding the wave, and then he pivots backwards. Don't know why. And then Rayhan pivots backwards. And he's not great on the transition, so he's not able to continue his momentum backward skating. And that's just something to work on. However, if you're able to gap up nice and tight where Ernest would have been, then you can still continue skating forward. It's not a problem, right? So exactly right here, we don't need a backward skate. Here's the attacker. We just need to gap up and start riding the wave. And so that's kind of a demonstration there. Now, however, let's rewind a little bit back. Once that pass goes through, we still need to worry. Just because the puck goes over here does not mean we can ignore these two players, because they're going to be a threat. They're going to be driving straight down the middle. Let's focus on what's going on. So we got the pressure on the left side. Lefty's coming over here. Right D, and I guess Kathy and Jess have all forgotten about that center lane option. That's going to be nice and risky. So Rayhan's got to keep hustling to catch up, and unfortunately, or rather fortunately, Cliff was able to make the save, or something happened. Let's see what happened. But we were definitely caught snoozing a little bit there. Therefore, they had that chance. So a little bit sketchy for a moment, but it is okay because Cliff is there. Alright, so this right here is actually more of a body positioning mistake. So Fee's able to do some backward skating, keeping that momentum. And so they're coming in on the attack. And this is just more of a body position mistake. This player is on the outside. So the key focus really is not to stop his progress going this way. The key focus is to be between the player and the net. And she keeps going out towards the outside, which means that inside lane where we need to be versus right over here is not occupied. And so boom, straight down the middle. That's a chance for them. And that's just a body positioning mistake. So to recap this, it is okay for them to go by you on the outside. That's going to be less risk because you're still going to be able to turn around and kind of prevent them, box them out on the outside. Now, obviously, it means we're going to have to play defense a little bit longer, but we'd rather have that than to have a clean lane to the net like that and have a shot on net. All right, right hand takes it in, takes a shot, and then Ernest almost gets it but falls. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was a play that actually Dow did on the other team, and he does a little dump in. So we tried doing the gap up right here and stopping them on the blue line. Now a lot of people actually will try to hold on to the puck and force it through, but he says, you know what, let's dump it out into the corner and chase after it. That's fine. We might have been able to beat the foot race, but I held off on this because of the Zamboni doors. It's usually going to be crappy ice, and I don't want anyone to start crashing into there. So that's fine. Give them the space, and it's fine. Now, defensively, let's see where Rayhan comes in. Touches up towards the net, stays near the threat level, and intercepts. Now, okay, this is where I would say that might be a slight mistake. You should have stayed near the threat rather than going towards the help. So we don't need to do anything in the corner. We got pressure, like it's all fine over there. We got too many people, and if that pass got through, like let's say sometimes the pass gets through, then nobody's defending this person. Now Jamie eventually gets there, which is good on her part. However, we didn't want to leave anyone empty there at that time. So let's just watch this whole entire defensive shift here. What happens? What kind of shenanigans happens? Now, because Rayhan went over to the left-hand side, we're like, we see here. We see how this player, Maria, out in front is uncovered. So we have to do that momentarily. Now, once that puck gets over on that right-hand side, let's sort it out. Let's switch around. Get everyone back into position. Now, here we go. This is where the excitement happens. We all know what happens for those who were at the game. Nice little reset. Now, I've always said in the past, once you get a puck back here, it's usually going to be best if you just take it behind the net, have a breather, take a look. You can see the ice, and because you're going to have that net to buy you some time to get around, and plus if you lose it behind there, it's not going to be a big deal. Versus if you're going to get the puck here and you're not getting it right away, like nice scan, you're going to feel a lot of pressure because you don't have anything in front of you and mistakes are going to be prone. So right here, your best options are probably going to send it across or up the boards. Those are the safest choices. He opts to go up the middle, which is not necessarily wrong in general. In this case, it is wrong because he gives a nice, beautiful pizza to Dowd. And the reaction is great because Rayhan throws down his stick and glove in absolute desperation, exasperation. But let's break it down further. So, why did I say that's not wrong? So, the first mistake is not taking it behind the net. That's probably the first mistake that's going to cost him problems. And so he's panicking it right now. He's seeing, okay, Jamie's right there. That's probably a safe choice. And usually that is going to be an option. We always say we want to have the center as an option to pass to. If we're skating up, if it's open, we can look for the center. We can look for the winger. Generally not to the opposite wing. Or you can skate it up yourself, and there's always going to be the other D partner as well. So D to D passing, we always got to think D to D. In this instance, because there's forechecking pressure, and because You're not behind the net, so you're not able to see everything cleanly. That's why this is where the mistake happens. So it's don't take it as a lesson as never pass through the middle. That's not the that's not the takeaway we want to take from here. The takeaway is first of all, try to take it behind the net, right? That's the first thing for everyone at this kind of level. So you're buying yourself some time, and if you lose the puck, it's not a big problem. Second takeaway, look for the safety options, which are going to be your D2D passes along the boards. Those are generally going to be safe, because if you get intercepted, the risk is a little bit lower. It's not to say that the risk is not there where they can bump it out to the middle, but it's going to be lower. We can react to it a little bit sooner. And yeah, so that is it. That's the goal. That's the 1-1 tie, and Dowd towards the game tying goal for a triple crown. All right, so face off win. Ray goes in on the attack, gets a little tangled up. Bodies are flying. He hits Jess. What's going on? Bodies are flying everywhere. Let's just show it anyways. Kathy doing a big power move towards the net. Couldn't quite get a good handle on it. Get a chance. Now the video went a little silly there. Goes on the way back down. Now this is actually going to be a note for Cliff. I think the preference really is actually if you just stop it there and leave it there, it's going to be way easier for me to work with. But he's kind of sends it back towards the boards. It's just harder to pick it up off the boards. You can see how it's a little awkward for that, and I have to stop up. And so in general, it's just going to be easier if, well, find it too far back, in my opinion. If the puck is just settled down, stopped, and left right here, then you can pick it up with speed, go behind the net, all in one smooth motion. I think that's the preference, but you can always ask other people. And then we're going in on the attack. Alright, we're about to see a troublemaker shift defensively. Not great, and we'll break it down. So Steve comes in on the attack. So that already is a problem. And that means whoever is right wing, I think that's Ernest, that's going to be kind of, we're following in with them. So let's do a rewind. What happened? I see. Okay, so Ernest goes up on the attack. Is that? Oh no, it's Marcus. Okay, so Ernest somehow loops around, and so his coverage is shot. And so we got a big 4-on-2 attack, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 on 2. And so we're going to have a bit of a numbers disadvantage. So the risk are obviously these two players plus, well, all of them. They're all risks. But most likely is going to be number 8, 22 in this, because puck's on the left hand side. With also we're going to need to keep an eye on this trailer. Let's break it down, watch it. So he's driving net, and that makes sense. Like no one's covering 8, so the imagination is Rayhan's going to start biasing out to the puck carrier. So I need to carry like continue and watch out this net drive. But obviously, what does that mean? We're leaving a person behind, and we don't have too many greenhorns on him right now. And so that's potential for a one-timer. Thankfully fanned on it. And so that puck misses the net. And here's that trailer. Now, at this point, they have 4 yellows down here, and we have way too many greenhorns down low. So that's going to become problems a little bit later on. We're able to take it out, but you can see no wingers, no wingers. So a little bit tough to get it out. We could probably just bounce it off, but that's no fun. Fanned on it. That's not great either. And so we reset. Again, once again, there is a forward here, and that's probably going to be Jamie Here's another forward here. But obviously the focus is on the puck on that right hand corner. We're able to break it down. Now again, Alex is trying to join the party way down low again. Not it's helpful, but he doesn't switch back up. That's really where the problem is. He stays down there for too long, and so we'll see why that is a problem a little bit later on. And again, Alex always likes to go towards this way rather than heading up ice, but that's fine. Gives a nice beautiful turnover for the other team. Now, why is that a problem? Well, we have talked about Alex is staying down low as the winger. This is problems. Both of our wingers are nowhere to be seen. That's not a good thing. And so we allow a shot from the point. Not something we would want, but Cliff is on the ball and makes the save. Ray trying to do some fancy moves and decides to eat poo into the boards instead. Get a nice little banana peel by Ernest right down the middle. Whee! Alright, this one's gonna drive me nuts for a long time. So pass over and we keep it behind the net. We don't see any option up the middle. Dave! Way too high. And so what are the options? Rayhan's not ready. Alex is ready. So say, okay, let's get it over to him. Now this is gonna drive me nuts because you can turn around and look for the ice. There's open ice. There's open ice. And what does he do right away? Skate back down. Why? Why do you do this to me, Alex? And then he passes it through the crease. Oh my gosh. We always appreciate the Dave special. Woo! Fallen backward shot. Love it. So good. Alright, I actually wanted to highlight this play coming up. So Kathy takes it around. What I wanted to focus on is actually Ray and how he's watching Kathy the whole time. So the first thing, a little bit of an adjustment I would actually make first is I would scoot him over just a smidge so he actually comes across, crosses this zone first, and then ends up to where he's going to end up. And that's just going to give him more opportunities to possibly score. So he probably starts this a little bit early, I think, because Kathy's going to get into this kind of zone. So he's had that opportunity to maybe get a pass through there. And then, right, so like right here, this may be a possibility. So he's probably started a little bit early. And then eventually he goes to where I think is a really good spot that highlights, right? He stops up here to the other spot. So if he started here, cross to cross, and then ends up there, does the same job, but it's going to be a little bit more efficient, and he gives him more chances to possibly get the puck and score. So good shot right there, good play. I wanted to highlight that. And that's good positioning. That's basically what you want to do when you have someone carry the puck around the net like that. Alright, hey, look at this. Right after that, Jamie gathers the puck, given her space, but what she does with it is awesome. So calm and collected, skates up the middle. So one of the things I usually say for other players is we want to follow the circle, but you know, if there's space given to you, take that. Generally I say follow the circle is because it's going to be the natural path where you get the puck, you just start kind of skating around, and it'll naturally just get you into a really nice angle going for a shot. But this is just as good, and look at that, you know, actually well aimed. There is room on that far side and well aimed. Now something to work on, because she's really like leaning forward on that puck. is how to get that power on that shot. I'm sure Steve or whatever will be able to work on it with her, and still kind of maintain being upright and get more power out of it. But otherwise, I like it. And oh my goodness, big chances right there as well. All right, so this offensive shift, pretty good. Kind of break it down. You know, so one first mistake right here, it's not really a mistake. I'd just say it's more of a tweak. See how Kathy's kind of like on the side of the net? I would probably move her more towards it. Is it in? Kind of right here. And so just kind of compressing the zone a little bit. More like where that lightning bolt is. And that'll kind of give you options to move left or right. And then less time for them to react on taking the puck. So, and I would say Ray should have maybe also considered skating up the circle. But let's continue. Nice little turnover, good chance right there, a bit of a sharp angle. And then we're able to keep the puck in. Big zip pass, missed that one-timer, able to keep the puck in still. Going for the change, a double change. Kathy went for a change, I went for a change. So we're getting some fresh bodies on the ice while still keeping possession. That's good. Skating down, right hand's also going for a change now and get some more fresh bodies. So we don't really have any D at the moment just because Dave went down, but Ray identifies that and starts going up, so that's good to see. And yeah, I guess like the triangular formations are fine right here. Dave has it. That's a big opportunity, juicy one right there for Alex. Just on that back door. Anywhere on that net front presence is going to be fine. And then Dave tries to feed the cross crease, couldn't quite get it, and they knock it out. But you know, decent shift. I like a lot of things. We take it. We're doing a dynamic shift change. A lot of people don't do that at this level, which often results in super long shift times for other teams. Let's just be honest. And we're moving around dynamically, which is good. I think we can add a little bit more dynamic movement when we have the puck. But otherwise, yeah, it's good. We're forming the triangles. Everything's looking pretty good. There's a little mistake on the Triple Crowns side. You know how we were talking about Ray being on a great position? This player right here, amazing position, awesome. Well, here's the mistake. This player just wants to throw it out to the middle where he's all covered. Look at this guy. He's getting mugged for his lunch money and all that. But this player is awesome position. Actually, you know, not so much anymore. If she stayed back here, would have been amazing. And that pass for a shot opportunity, right? So little things like that. A lot of people default to huck it to the middle, but sometimes you just gotta look for the easy pass, you know. And that's gonna be a really awesome chance for this player if that puck got to them. So that's a little bit of a small mistake. All right, I think I'll put it this way. The eye test so far suggests that the Ernest and Alex combo is very chaotic. Duo versus Ray and Kathy, they're way more of a well-oiled machine. And I think that comes to be expected. They've played together more often, whereas Ernest is finding his groove as a winger, and Alex, him and Alex don't play together very often, so it all makes sense. Now here's a play that I thought looked really good for a moment. A bit sketchy on this line-to-line pass, but we got 4 up top, and this would have been really awesome if Ernest stopped right here and gathered the puck. So he gathered it and just stopped right here and prepped for a load. But watch how he fans out so wide. Oh my god, he doesn't take a shot until all the way to the edge of the circle. Sharpest angle you can get. So I think that wasn't the right decision, but you know, it is what it is. Dave does a good job holding it in when he got pinched down really low. Oh, that is so. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I can't believe she did that. Talk about like. So Dave tries to skate it in, right? So that means we have 4 green sweaters down low. And Fee decides to pinch. Are you joking me right now? That's crazy talk. Oh gosh, we're so lucky that's a red tape. Ay, we almost had a replay of the problem. Definitely need us to take it behind the net. Watch what he does. He settles it down, sees pressure, panic passes. Oh my gosh. Straight through the pizza zone. We got lucky, but that's a risky play. Anyways, good pass from Alex to Ernest, but Ernest couldn't quite settle it down. That's unfortunate. Another little mistake from Rayhan. So he thought about the D-to-D pass. That makes sense, but ay caramba, that is not good. And usually you want to wait for the D partner to get some time to get behind. Otherwise, safety is up the boards, or alternatively, you can skate it down yourself. But oh gosh, that is some major sketch going on right there. Also, additionally, another little mistake that you would not possibly know of. When a puck gets loose like this, never send it straight up the middle. Either gather it yourself and look for the thing, or if you really don't know, get it into the corner. It's going to be generally the safest place to send it. But we got lucky with Jess being able to pick it up, but you can see how quickly that could have gone wrong. With Cliff out of the picture, they can come in with a shot. So those are some small mistakes. So I thought this was a little funny. They dumped it in, and I saw boom, 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 3 forecheckers going straight line in, not cutting off any lanes. And I saw Ernest go up. So you thought, oh, that's a freebie for the breakout. Turns out he was just going for a change, and it was a turnover. So I thought this was really funny. So we got Alex and Steve, and Steve's doing the Alex special. And if anyone doesn't know what the Alex special is, that's the perfect demonstration where he goes all the way around town without stopping. And then when they finally get to the top, they throw the puck back down. Nothing wrong with that, but you know what? For Steve, this is my opinion of what you can do differently. As you go down, and from here you got the speed. You've basically beaten Alex. And from here I can see you're seeing nobody in front of the net, and you're continuing behind, and that's understandable. At this point, I think if you can add a slowdown behind the net, like even a hard stop, it gives you options. Like I can see you doing like a mohawk kind of pivot right there, and I think you could probably add in, like mix it in, just a actual hard stop behind the net for a moment and just kind of buy some time, see what your options are. But you actually just keep on going, and right here again, here's another option. You got some open ice to work with, you know, tight turn, whatever. See what options there are, but then you still continue up the ice, and at that point, I don't know, you just like, you could mix it. Like, why not just complete the full circle, come back down? So maybe at that point you're kind of panicking, you're getting to the blue line, that might be a turnover, nasty turnover right there. So I think a lot of mix-ins for you. You're just going full speed from, one blue line to the opposite blue line around the ice, and didn't achieve too much, but I think he had some opportunities to do some stuff there. So continuation with Alex, I don't know. I think it's just maybe a bad habit. I've noticed he can only turn left. He's just turning left. This is about the second game in the row now. Where he just, I think part of it is also he doesn't scan the ice. So watch, he's scanning, but once you see the puck, this is a good time to just look to your left, or I mean look to your right, blah, blah, blah. Look to your right, look to your left. You see how he only scans left, and then he scoops it up and goes back down. Whereas simple scan to your right, you can see, boom, Steve's so far away, you got a little bit of back pressure, but you can definitely just start going up. There's got no risk of pinching right here. So yeah, it's a curious case. Yeah, so actually right here, I think, so Ray opts for a shot from distance. That's perfectly fine. I think you had a chance to also use Steve as a screen a little bit. So maybe do a little cut to the middle. Kind of take advantage of that. It does look like you go to the outside of him and you miss the net. That's that's fine. I think one of the things you missed out on was floating up to actually in this area. Or even just like here but holding. So you kind of float back. You see how like that, and I think that right there just gives them that couple seconds where they're able to stop you. Let's see this attack. Another force through the middle. Alright, now this is ultimate sketch mode right here. So they pass. This is where it gets sketchy. Puck in the corner. Ray stops up. That's perfectly fine. And then he decides to cut to the middle and lose the puck. Oh my goodness. Like, what a disaster is that? Oh, giving me some heart attacks here. So I thought this was funny. I think this one should have been a penalty, but the one on Kathy shouldn't have been. So boom, Alex is just skating around, and then unfortunately Henry runs into him, and that's basically a pretty huge body check. I think they let that one go. I'm fine with that just because of the Kathy call. But that was pretty funny. Something Ernest is actually getting way better with his rushes, stick handling, and going up ice, and I also like something that's a little bit new from him as well is I think historically he's just powered through, very similar to how Kathy would do it, like bonk it off the boards and then chase after it, etc. And now he's actually more confident keeping the puck on his stick and actually looking for open ice. Right here, open ice is right through the middle. So I think that's good to see actually. And I think getting games for him on wing is going to help him be a better like overall player. So whenever he moves back to D, he's going to be way better at moving the puck up the ice as well. Thought this was really funny too. So Ernest gets it, skating up the circle, goes for a shot, completely misses. That's fine, you're gonna get better at that, but runs into this player. So this guy has taken out Kathy and Ernest this game so far. Not by his fault, just them both skating into him. But little rewind here. So we're checking pressure by Kathy, and I think Ernest actually makes a good decision of hopping over this way as Kathy's applying pressure over here. Now for Jamie, you actually want to slow this down a little bit and just kind of read where that puck is. So right now it's on that right hand side. You can stay roughly around this area. As it switches over, you can kind of read how, do you want to move over to the boards or do you want to stay here? But in general, you can kind of keep it simple. Just roughly this zone, it will be a pretty good spot to stay in. So you're just going to need to kind of pay attention. You see 1, 2 green sweaters ahead of you. Don't be the third person into the zone. So you can see how you're diving in deep. So now we have 3 people kind of below this line. We don't really want to have that typically. So if Kathy is already here, Ernest is over on the boards, then it'll be kind of a good area for you to be right here. And then as Ernest is coming up the ice, we can kind of react off of that. But so that's a small thing right there. All right, so big stretch pass off the mark or couldn't quite handle it. D to D pass, easy peasy. Moves all the forecheckers from right to left. And then so a little bit of pressure on Fee, so she decides, okay, D to D again. And now because they might be tired, we've got open space for Dave to work with. And he says, okay, well, there's open ice, I'll just take it up. So we got the 4-person attack, drop past there, Ernest, and that was an absolutely disgusting snipe with the tornado spin at the end to celebrate. And we have now opened the door. It is now a 2-1 game. We've taken the lead. Alright, so we have the play that's going to be leading up to our 3rd goal for. I kind of lost the puck for red tape, but it was loose and Ray was able to get it positionally. I like it from our forwards. We went for a change and Ray was able to score. Let's break it down, the important stuff. So, I like Kathy coming in, and then notice 2 sweaters down, 2 greens. So third person wants to stay a little bit high, and same is going to apply because I'm the defenseman, so 2 forwards. So one just stays a little bit higher and one comes down. As the defenseman comes up, then we have kind of room to go in. So watch how this kind of breaks down. So Ray gets it, goes down, boom, right here. Kathy's already was net front. That play was dead on the first initial rush. And so she gets to a support area, and then Dave can stay high in that magic zone. And we get those triangles. Boom, he gets covered, but moving it from right to left, there's an opportunity. Dave gets in that open area. A little tough one, but a good battle. Boom, shot right there. And again, another thing that we can notice is Ray doesn't stay over here. He's gonna start to slowly compress in. Still kind of form like good gap, right? Little triangles. We don't want to squeeze up where like Ray goes over to where Noah is. But how this happens is once we get that puck towards the net, you can see everyone's going to start moving towards that zone, which is what we want. And that gives, boom, a chance to score. And then now it's 3-1. So very nice plays leading up to that. Alright, we're going to see the play leading up to our 4th goal is right immediately after. So he's able to break down that play. And then Ernest does a nice backhand pass up to Kathy. You got to see that again. Very soft hands. And lead springs her for a rush. You could perhaps argue that Eng could have stopped her. He really looked like he slowed down. But, I mean, he kept up with her, and the thing is, he was shutting down the forehand the entire time. So, Jeff decided that he did not want to cover the short side at all. And so just gave that entire side to Kathy? Question mark. You know, I think Eng played it right. Forced her to be on the backhand the entire time. It's going to be a poor shot no matter what. And fortunately for her, Jeff just didn't want to cover the right hand side of the net. And so now it is 4-1. We got ourselves another banana peel coming up. Woo! Alright, after that banana peel, Alex gets a nice block shot, and I swear, I don't know what it is. He just can't turn right. But he decides, right? There's so much space over here. I don't understand what's going on, but he decides that rather than trying to exit out of the zone, it is a safer play to skate straight down the slot towards Cliff, and then kind of like momentarily lose it. I mean, we still get it out, but that was interesting to say the least. Nice pass by Ray to Alex, but couldn't quite get it. Alright, so we have a minute left. Let's see if there's any more shenanigans that happens in this game. But in any case, if you like this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you hadn't already. I'm open to any suggestions for future content or questions. And if you thought this was entertaining or helpful or anything, please share it with your friends. But otherwise, let's continue watching. 30 seconds left. And yeah, let's see if there's any more fun stuff happening. Doesn't seem like it. 20 seconds left. Nice pass up to Jess. He gets a last chance shot there. Didn't quite get a good angle on it. But in any case, that would be game 4-1. It was a pretty good game. It was like tied most of the way. And really the 3 goals at the end just came with a spurt. And yeah, fun game. I shall see you guys next time.